Good evening from Lagos, Nigeria, and thank you very much for joining us again on the program Capital Markets. I'm Temple Ashaju. Thursday, the 23rd of February, will always be remembered in the history of the Nigerian capital markets. This is because the very first sovereign green bond in Africa was battered at the Lagos-based bourse. The occasion brought together the nation's acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, alongside some executives of government and finance, was married to environment. At the meeting, the first phase of a proposed 20 billion naira or $64 million green bond program was discussed with capital market operators. On our program this evening, we'll have the privilege of listening to the plans for the proceeds from the bond. And let's get started. Of course, we will kick off with the Ministry of Environment, where the Minister of Environment herself, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, during her presentation to market operators, speaks on the plans of government to diversify the Nigerian economy with the Sovereign Green Bond Program, deemed as the very first of its kind in the continent.
The delivery of Nigeria's NDC will require a fundamental reorientation of financial flows within the economy. Capital will need to flow towards low-carbon, climate-resilient opportunities and away from the carbon-intensive, polluting activities or those that exacerbate climate vulnerability, leading to poverty, insecurity, and reduced health well-being. Green bonds presents for us an opportunity to begin to achieve this. The process which we will see Nigeria launch the first sovereign green bond in an emerging market began as a seed which was sown by the private sector, right here in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Today, we can say that we've achieved half that circle, and we'll come full circle when we finally issue these bonds in what we hope will be the first quarter of this year. Since we began this process, we've taken a number of steps, which you will hear about later on, to ensure that we are able to sustain the inflow of additional funds through subsequent issuances and begin the process of attempting to green our economy. In other words, to go beyond the fad of greening an economy. I think most people hear that and they wonder, what has the UN come with again? This time we're hoping to show that this is a constructive and an integrated way forward to addressing the growth of our economy. The government's new proposed economic recovery and growth plan identifies the green bonds as one of the alternative sources of financing. The plan also has significant overlaps with our NDCs on objectives for power, transport, and agriculture. It attracts climate resources to these interventions, expanding funding that will be available for our economy. For instance, in the power sector, it includes our aim and ambition to have 13,000 megawatts of off-grid power, solar power, in our projects. In transport, implementing schemes that reduce the incidence of vehicles by introducing and encouraging the use of energy-efficient buses. All these are meant to help us achieve a target of 450 million tons of emission reductions. Our green bond process is identifying projects within various sector strategies that have incidental contributions to emission reductions. I think this is where the message is important, that there are many things that we invest in that we could reduce the emissions better, introduce quality measures that make our industries less polluting. We can confidently say that we are able to contribute to at least 158,000 tons to this target, a small number, but it is a concrete step in the right direction. We also anticipate that the creation of jobs will contribute to at least 10% of the ERGP's target of 15 million jobs by 2020. In addition, there are 91 global climate funds that have commitments from the global community to provide up to 100 billion US per annum. Finding the meeting point between what we are doing here today and access to these funds is really the goal of the green bond process, and we believe that it can facilitate that. The process itself, its integrity, our ability to bring together sectors and partners will be key. In sustaining the process, the institutional arrangement around the green bonds process has been established, while some already existing processes will require some change. In other words, we're not recreating any of the processes, but we're trying to use what government does in its normal budgeting and planning exercise and bring out projects that we think we are able to green. We do this through a mechanism of the Interministerial Committee on Climate Change under the coordination of our Department of Climate Change. The Ministry itself will be part of the issuance process. It's provided a framework and guidelines, and I want to thank our partners for helping us do this. It's produced as a part of establishing processes that are essential to ensure that projects funded by green bonds have climate credentials, and we'll hear more about that later. The Ministry of Finance, through the Debt Management Office, who are responsible for managing the process, have been instrumental in laying a solid foundation for this process, and I wish to thank them for their partnering on this. Other partners on government side include Budget and Planning, the Office of the Accountant General, the Central Bank, and all have taken steps to guide this in the right direction. Improving partnership with government and the private sector will keep the momentum of the green bonds process. It provides opportunities for the private sector to be in the process of connecting the three strands of sustainable development: economic, social, and environment. That will then give us the longer-term sustainable development. So in a nutshell, what are we hoping to take away from our event today? I hope that we will be able to reassert our commitments and convictions, that government is ready and committed to diversifying the economy, creating jobs, improving security, and improving on the quality of life. But two, green bonds provide a new product with new credentials that investors can buy into, which has gone through a vigorous process to ensure transparency, accountability for the use of funds, and that it is environmentally friendly. And third, that our domestic market needs to rally round our own domestic issuances. The recently issued Eurobonds are a testament to us that the Nigerian market is still viable. So let's translate that to domestic issuances. Fourth, greening our economy and financial systems will in the long run support our sustainability efforts and improve the economy, as this will open new avenues for new types of jobs, creative thinking and innovation. And lastly, improve partnerships and collaboration with the private sector, which will be key to sustainability, and this we must continue to encourage.
There you have Mrs. Amina